If you think a marriage breaks with one big moment, you are wrong. It starts with tiny burns, tiny lies, tiny silences. And by the time the fire reaches your heart, your whole life is already turning to ash. What happened to me did not begin in court. It did not begin with divorce papers. It did not even begin with the other man. It began the night I finally understood that the woman sleeping beside me had already left me in every way that mattered. Marriage is like good bourbon. It goes down warm. It sits quiet for years. Then one day the burn finally hits. My name is Quinn Ellison. I am 43 years old. And I had been drinking from the same marriage for 22 years when the burn started. Not all at once. Not like a movie. It started slow, about 6 months earlier, around the same time my wife began staying late at work almost every night and acting like I was a chair in the corner. Something useful. Something boring. Something she no longer really saw. "You're paranoid, Quinn," my wife said last Tuesday when I asked about her third emergency client meeting that week. She did not even look up from her phone. The screen light touched her face. Cold. Blah. Distant. "Maybe focus on your own work," she said, instead of acting obsessed with mine. That was Celine. Always sharp. Always polished. Always ready with a line that made me feel small for asking normal questions. She had always been ambitious. At Brightwell and Stone, one of the biggest ad agencies in the city, she was the creative director. Corner office. Designer clothes. Fancy lunches. Expensive perfume. She built campaigns for luxury cars, watches no normal person could afford, and beautiful people who never looked tired. She walked through life like she belonged on a billboard. I was the numbers guy. The accountant. The man who made sure everything added up while she made things look exciting. There was a time when she used to come home glowing with ideas. She would stand in the kitchen kicking off her heels, talking fast, telling me every detail about a campaign or a pitch or a difficult client she had somehow charmed. I used to love listening to her. Even when I did not fully understand the work, I loved hearing her feel alive. Then little by little, those talks died. Now she came home late, if she came home at all before midnight. She ate little. Spoke less. Her phone was always in her hand, and every time I walked into the room, whatever was on that screen vanished. At first the signs were small. A new perfume that smelled sweeter than anything she had worn in years. Long showers after work. Phone calls that ended the second I stepped near her. A smile she gave to her screen but never to me. I told myself not to jump to ugly thoughts. I told myself I was tired. I told myself middle age makes people weird and distant. I told myself I was seeing things because I was scared of how fast our house had gone quiet. The truth was I already knew. I just did not want to say it out loud. Because if I said it, it became real. And if it became real, then I had to ask myself a question I did not want to answer. What exactly was I competing with? I was not some movie star husband. I was average height. My hair had started thinning years ago. I had the kind of body that says I once cared about the gym and then got busy paying bills and raising kids. I was solid, dependable, ordinary. Not ugly. Not special. The kind of man people describe as nice, when they cannot think of anything exciting to say. And then there was Celine's sister, Bianca Hart. Bianca was 39 and lived like she was still 25. Divorced. Wealthy because of a big settlement. No children. No real job. No schedule except the one she made for herself. She wore short dresses, laughed too loudly, and treated my house like her private stage. She would walk in carrying wine, drop onto our couch and start telling stories about men with lake houses, beach homes, sports cars, and money so old it had its own smell. She always had a new story and a new man. Every visit left something ugly behind, like smoke after a fire. 1 month ago she came over on a Thursday. I was in the kitchen pretending to read, but the house was quiet enough for every word to drift to me. "You know what your problem is, Celine?" Bianca said from the living room. "You settled too early." I looked up from the page I had not been reading. Celine gave a weak laugh. "I have a family, Bia. Kids. A house. Responsibilities. Ethan is 21. Chloe is 19. They're adults," Bianca said. "When do you get to live your life?" The words hit me harder than they should have. Because they sounded rehearsed. Because Celine did not push back. Because a part of me knew Bianca had been saying things like that for months, maybe longer, every time I was not in the room. I should have walked in then. I should have looked my wife in the eye and reminded her that this life did not appear by magic. We built it. Together. One bill, one sacrifice, one hard year at a time. I should have said our children still needed us even if they were older. I should have said marriage was not some coat you throw away because another one looks newer. But I sat there. Quiet. Still. Listening. Like a coward. The kids noticed the change too. Our son Ethan came home from college for spring break and watched his mother at dinner for 2 nights before finally asking me the question. "What's going on with Mom?" I looked up from my plate. "What do you mean?" "She's weird," he said. "Like, angry all the time. And she keeps checking her phone under the table." Chloe was gentler, but her eyes said the same thing. "Dad," she asked one evening while helping me clean up, "are you and Mom okay?" How do you answer that? How do you tell your daughter that her mother might be having an affair? How do you admit that you are too afraid to face the truth because the truth might blow your whole life apart? So I smiled the tired smile parents use when they want to protect their children from pain they can already smell coming. "We're just stressed," I said. Chloe nodded, but I could tell she did not believe me. 3 weeks later, the lie cracked open. I was looking for batteries in Celine's gym bag. That was all. Nothing dramatic. Just batteries. The remote was dead and she always kept random things in that bag. Instead, my hand found a credit card I had never seen before. It was not one of our joint cards. Not her company card either. It was personal. Only in her name. I should have put it back. I did not. I opened the little sleeve behind it and found the statement. Charges from the Glass Tower, the most expensive hotel downtown. Charges from Belle Noire, a tiny boutique that sold lingerie so overpriced it might as well have been made from gold. My chest went cold. When Celine got home, I asked. I held up the card and the paper. "What is this?" She looked at them, then at me. Then her whole face changed. Not guilt. Not fear. Anger. "You went through my things?" she asked, her voice turning hard as ice. "It's a violation of our marriage vows, Celine." "What's the Glass Tower?" I demanded. "Where I meet clients," she said. "Not that it's your business." "And Belle Noire?" "I bought myself something nice." "Is that a crime now?" It happened so fast my head almost spun. I was the one standing there with evidence in my hand, but somehow she made me feel like the guilty one. Like I was the problem. Like I was some jealous, insecure man digging through a successful woman's bag because I could not handle her having a life. That was Celine's gift. She could twist the room until you forgot where you were standing. "If you're not cheating," I told her, trying to keep my voice steady, "then you're doing a terrible job pretending you aren't." Her eyes flashed. That line bought me 3 days of silence. 3 days of colder dinners. 3 more late nights. 3 more little signs that something in my house had died. Then came last night. Bianca was over again. They thought I was upstairs watching television, but old houses carry voices in ugly ways. Through vents. Through floors. Through pipes. I heard Bianca first. "He has a yacht," she said, her voice full of dirty meaning. "And hands to match." Then Celine laughed, soft and nervous. "And that penthouse view?" Bianca went on. "Come on. Tell me it wasn't incredible." Celine was quiet for 1 beat too long. Then she said, "I can't keep doing this. Quinn is getting suspicious." Bianca let out a small laugh. "So what? You think he'll actually do something?" I stood frozen beside the bed upstairs. "He's too comfortable," Bianca said. "Too scared of change. Men like Quinn don't fight. They just sit there and hope things fix themselves." A hot wave of shame hit me because I knew she was partly right. Then Celine said the name that changed everything. "Damien wants to take me to his lake house next weekend." Damien. Not some stranger. Not some client. Damien Cross. The new CEO at Brightwell and Stone. 46. Divorced. Silver Porsche. Perfect suits. Easy smile. The kind of man who never looked tired because men like him paid other people to carry the tired parts of life. He had joined the agency 6 months ago, brought in to modernize things. Apparently that included modernizing my wife right out of our marriage. "Damien is perfect for you," Bianca said. "Successful. Smooth. Rich. He sees your value." Pause. Then she added, "Sweeter and meaner, unlike Quinn." "I didn't say that," Celine murmured. Bianca laughed. "You didn't have to. When was the last time he made you feel special? When was the last time he took you somewhere worth dressing up for?" I wanted to go downstairs then. I wanted to remind them about the anniversary dinner I planned last month. The birthday weekend away. The years I spent trying to make Celine happy in 1,000 small ways she had stopped seeing. But I stayed upstairs. And I listened while my marriage got taken apart like it meant nothing. This morning, Celine left early for another client meeting. I waited until her card disappeared. Then I searched her gym bag again. This time I did not stop at the main pocket. Buried in a side pocket, wrapped inside a spare towel, was a small burner phone. My hands shook when I turned it on. The messages made me sick. Dozens and dozens of texts between Celine and Damien. At first they sounded professional, then playful, then dirty. Pictures I never wanted in my mind. Plans for hotel rooms, times, dates, was. But the worst part was the most recent conversation from yesterday. Damien, Bianca is right. He won't fight for you. Men like Quinn never do. Celine, I know. He's so predictable. So boring. I need excitement. Damien, soon baby. Once we handle the financial side we can be together openly. Celine, the power of attorney papers are almost ready. Bianca's friend notarized everything. He'll never see it coming. I read those lines once. Then again. Then 5 more times because my brain refused to accept what my eyes were seeing. They were not just planning to end my marriage. They were planning to rob me. My retirement. My savings. The future I had built line by line and year by year. And Bianca was helping. 22 years. 2 children. A home. A whole life. And they were treating it like a business deal. Like I was a problem to move out of the way. I sat there at the kitchen table with the burner phone in my hand and felt something inside me change. Not explode. Change. Cooler than anger. Sharper than pain. If they wanted to turn my life into a game, then they were about to learn something dangerous. The boring husband had numbers. The boring husband had patience. And the boring husband had finally stopped hoping they would come back to their senses. I'm not James Bond. But I can search, read, compare, and follow a trail. By noon, I had spent hours digging into Damien Cross like I was checking a risky investment. What I found turned my anger into something even colder. 3 marriages. 3 divorces. All with cheating attached. 2 different states. A trail of broken homes behind him like wreckage after a storm. Every time things got too messy he moved companies and started over. Brightwell and Stone hired him anyway because men like Damien always know how to sound valuable in a boardroom. I called in sick to work for the first time in 3 years. Then I drove to the glass tower. If Celine was meeting Damien there, I wanted to see it with my own eyes. The hotel sat in the middle of downtown, all glass and steel and fake beauty. The kind of place that makes normal people feel underdressed just for driving by. I parked across the street where I could see the entrance and waited. 1 hour. 2 hours. Then, at exactly 2:30, Celine's BMW pulled into the valet lane. She stepped out wearing a red dress I had never seen before. It clung to her like it had been chosen for one purpose and one purpose only. The valet took her keys with both hands like he was holding something holy. 5 minutes later, Damien's silver Porsche rolled in. Of course it did. He stepped out adjusting his tie, checking himself in the car window like even his reflection needed to admire him. I felt sick. Then I saw something worse. Through the glass wall near the side garage, I spotted Bianca's Mercedes parked on the 3rd level. She was there too. Not by accident. Not near. There. Helping. Watching. Maybe guarding the door while my wife and her boss played lovers behind expensive hotel curtains. I wanted to charge across the street and tear the whole place open. I wanted to drag truth into the lobby and let everyone watch. Instead, I sat there in my car, gripping the wheel so hard my hands hurt, while my marriage dissolved behind hotel glass. Then my phone buzzed. A message from Celine. Working late again tonight. Don't wait up. I stared at the words and almost laughed. The lie was so bold it took my breath away. She was maybe 50 feet from me. Probably already in his room. And she had the nerve to send me that like I was too stupid to imagine anything else. That was the moment I stopped thinking only about survival. That was the moment I decided to fight back. My old college roommate, Leo Mercer, ran a private investigation business in town. We were not best friends anymore, not like in college, but we stayed in touch just enough to know each other's lives had gotten heavier. He spent his days catching cheating spouses, fake injury claims, and liars who thought they were smarter than paperwork. I had never imagined I would be one of the sad husbands calling him for help. When he answered, his voice sounded exactly the same. Quinn Ellison, he said. Wow. Been a while. What's up? I need your professional help. Pause. Then his voice changed. What happened? My wife is cheating. Another pause, longer this time. Are you sure? I found texts. Hotel charges. A burner phone. I need more. More for what? I looked at the hotel across from me. Divorce, I said. Then after a beat, and revenge. Leo breathed out slowly. Revenge costs money, Quinn. And sometimes it costs more than that. How much to start? That depends, he said. How deep do you want me to go? Money? Work history? Personal dirt? Full background? All of it. We met that night at Murphy's Tavern, a dark little bar where the beer was cheap and the light was kind to broken people. Leo looked like he had been built in a lab to play a private investigator in a TV show. Wrinkled shirt, tired eyes, day-old beard. A face that said he knew too much about what people did when they thought no one was watching. He slid a thick folder across the table. I ran fast checks on both of them, he said. Your wife has been busy. Inside were statements, reports, records. Celine had opened 3 separate accounts in 6 months. Money had been moving into them through fake work expenses. Client dinners that never happened. Travel costs too high to be real. Consulting fees attached to names Leo could not even find. 15,000 at least, he said. Maybe more. Not clean. Maybe not fully illegal yet, but dirty enough to hurt. And Damien? Financially careful, Leo said. Personally filthy. He flipped to another section. 2 women at the agency filed complaints against him. Both got buried. My eyes moved over the pages. What kind of complaints? Pressure. Creepy advances. Promotion for favor garbage. The usual pretty predator behavior from a man who thinks he's untouchable. I kept reading jaw tight. What about the power of attorney? Can they really take my retirement? Leo leaned back. If the papers look real and the bank accepts them, yes. You can fight after. But by then the money could be moved. How do I stop it? He studied me for a second. Legally, he asked. Or illegally? What's the difference? Legal is slower. Illegal is dumber. I took a long drink of my beer. What about a third option? I asked. Ruining them without breaking the law? For the first time that night, Leo smiled. Now we're talking. We sat there for 2 more hours building a plan. Not a wild one. A careful one. Because it was not enough to catch them sleeping together. I wanted consequences. I wanted every hidden lie to meet daylight. The next morning, I drove to Brightwell and Stone. I had not planned to. But once I parked, I knew I needed one thing first. I needed Damien to see my face. I found him in the executive garage, unlocking that silver Porsche like he was starring in a commercial. Damien Cross, I called. He turned. For half a second, confusion crossed his face. Then the name landed. Do I know you? Quinn Ellison, I said. Celine's husband. The color left his face so fast it almost made me smile. Then he tried to recover. Quinn. Good to meet you. Celine talks about you. I'm sure she does. I stepped closer. He smelled like expensive soap and expensive confidence. She probably tells you how boring I am, I said. How predictable. I don't know what you think this is, he said. I know about the glass tower. I know about the burner phone. I know about the fake power of attorney. His jaw tightened. You don't know what you're talking about. I got close enough to see the small pulse beating in his neck. Here's what I know, Damien. You are a man who hunts married women. You've done it before. You're doing it now. But this time you picked the wrong family. He lifted his chin. Are you threatening me? I slapped the keys from his hand. They hit the concrete and scattered. The sharp sound echoed through the garage. 3 nearby employees looked up immediately. Perfect. I raised my voice just enough. Careful with that Porsche, Damien. It's probably not as easy to handle as my wife. Silence. Then one tiny gasp from somewhere behind him. His face went bright red. You're insane. Maybe, I said. But I'm not disappearing. I turned and walked away, leaving him on the garage floor collecting his keys while other people watched and whispered. By lunch, the building would be buzzing. By dinner, the story would have legs. That afternoon, Leo called again. I found something bigger, he said. What? Bianca isn't just helping. She started this. I sat up straighter. What do you mean? The paperwork. The fake notary. The idea to move money. Even introducing Celine to Damien in the first place. From what I can tell, Bianca pushed all of it. My blood went cold. Why? Looks like she wants her sister single, rich, and drinking beside her, Leo said. But there's more. She's been telling people you're abusive. I stood up so fast my chair scraped. What? She's laying groundwork. Quietly. Making you sound controlling. Angry. Dangerous. So when the divorce comes, Celine looks like the victim and you look like the monster. Everything clicked. The lies. The distance. The confidence. The way Celine spoke like she had already won. They were not just cheating. They were building a story where I would lose my money, my name, maybe even my children. Leo, I said slowly, how do you feel about getting creative? He let out a low breath. Tell me. That night, I sat in my home office surrounded by tax files, legal notes, bank records, and copies of everything I had found. Celine was out, likely celebrating with Damien and Bianca, thinking I was still the same soft husband who would ask questions and then go quiet. They had no idea how dangerous a patient man becomes when he stops asking to be loved. If the law moved slowly, then I would move first. That became my rule. The beauty of being an accountant is this: you learn how systems breathe. And once you know that, you also know where to pinch. I started with Damien's Porsche. Not because it mattered most. Because it would make him feel stupid. And a proud man who feels stupid starts making mistakes. I bought 3 bottles of strong fish sauce from an Asian market on the far side of town. The expensive kind. The kind that smells like the ocean died and never got buried. A few nights later, when I knew Celine and Damien were in another late meeting, I put on a building maintenance uniform I had ordered online and walked into the agency garage carrying a toolbox. No one stopped me. No one looks twice at the man they think is there to fix things. I opened the hood. Found the air intake. Poured every drop inside. It was childish, petty, and beautiful. By morning, every time Damien turned on his air conditioning, his fancy car would smell like rotten fish in summer heat. But that was only the beginning. Weeks earlier, after my first suspicions, I had created a fake online profile tied loosely to agency circles. Enough to watch. Enough to move information around without raising alarms. So when Damien came storming into the parking lot the next day, gagging beside his Porsche while the smell rolled out in waves, I was ready. "What is that?" he shouted. "What the hell is that smell?" His face twisted. His tie came loose. 2 employees by the glass wall started laughing. I recorded everything. Then I dropped the video into an internal chat channel from my fake account. Within minutes, people were sharing it everywhere. By lunchtime, someone had clipped the best part. Damien bent over, nearly choking next to his own car. By evening, he was not the smooth CEO anymore. He was Fishcar Damien. Watching his image crack gave me a dark kind of joy. But humiliating him was just phase 1. Celine's social world came next. Her book club. Her yoga class. Her wine group. All the pretty little circles where she had built herself into someone admired. I did not need to lie. The truth was enough. At the grocery store, I accidentally ran into Miriam Cole, the book club leader. I let my face look tired. That part was easy. "I'm having a rough time," I told her quietly. Her expression changed at once. "What happened?" "Celine's seeing someone," I said. "Her boss. I found messages. Hotel bills. I don't even know what to do anymore." Miriam covered her mouth. "Oh, Quinn. Are you sure?" I gave a sad little nod. That was all it took. Truth moves fast in rooms built on image. By the end of the week, Celine was getting long stares at yoga and cold smiles at wine night. Women who once praised her taste and success were suddenly quiet around her. Her world was shrinking. And Leo kept digging. At our next meeting at Murphy's, he looked almost impressed. "I've got the forged power of attorney," he said. "Copies, payment records, the fake notary connection. Bianca paid for all of it." I leaned forward. "What else?" "Remember the women who complained about Damien? I found a third one. Nora Kim from marketing. She's willing to speak publicly." "What happened?" "He promised her a promotion if she got personal with him. When she said no, he pushed her out." "Will she testify?" Leo smiled. "She already filed a complaint with the State Labor Board. Once that lands, Brightwell and Stone can't hide him anymore." That weekend I moved out. Not because I was defeated. Because I was done sleeping in a house full of poison. I took what I needed, emptied our joint checking accounts legally since my name was on them too, and loaded boxes into a rental truck. Celine came home in the red dress. Again. She froze in the driveway. "What are you doing?" "Moving." She walked closer, eyes sharp. "Quinn, stop being dramatic." I laughed once. It sounded tired. "You mean like sleeping with your boss and planning to steal my retirement?" Her face changed for only a second, but I saw it. Not sadness. Calculation. "You can't prove that." I handed her a folder. Copies only. Bank statements. Hotel receipts. Message screenshots. Her fingers tightened around the pages as she flipped through them. "Where did you get these? Does it matter?" Her phone buzzed. She looked down. Maybe Damien. Maybe Bianca. Maybe panic. Then her voice softened. A trick she used when anger failed. "We can still fix this," she said. "It doesn't have to end ugly." I stared at her. The woman I had loved for more than half my life stood in our driveway holding evidence of her own betrayal and still thought she could steer me with tone and timing. "You're right," I said. "It doesn't have to end ugly." Hope flickered across her face. Then I said, "It's going to end worse." I got into the truck and drove away. That night Chloe called me. Her voice was low and shaky. Dad. Hey sweetheart. What's wrong? Mom is freaking out. She says you moved out. She says you're overreacting. I closed my eyes. What do you think? A long pause. Then she said, I think she's been lying for months. My throat tightened. Chloe? I found something a few weeks ago, she whispered. A voice recording on Mom's phone. She left it open and I was trying to set an alarm for her. Every part of me went still. What kind of recording? Mom and Aunt Bianca talking about you. About the divorce. About making you look dangerous. I sat down hard on the edge of my bed. Tell me exactly. Chloe took a breath. They said Mom should say you grabbed her. Or shoved her. Or scared her. Bianca said judges listen when women say they were abused. She said it would help Mom get the house and your retirement. I could not speak for a second. The room felt too small. Not only were they planning to cheat and steal, they were planning to paint me as a violent husband. One lie like that could destroy my job, my name, and my relationship with my kids forever. Do you still have the recording? I asked. I saved it on my laptop. Send it to me tonight. And Chloe? Yeah. Don't tell your mother we talked. The file hit my inbox just after midnight. 47 minutes long. 47 minutes of my wife and her sister planning my destruction like they were planning a party. Bianca's voice was clear and cold. You have to sell the abuse angle, Celine. Judges feel sorry for women who say they were scared. Say he grabbed your arm. Say he pushed you once. Say he scared you. Celine sounded nervous. What if he denies it? Bianca laughed. Who will they believe? You're the successful woman. He's just an accountant. I'll say I saw bruises. I'll say you cried to me. Once you get the money, you can fix things with the kids later. I listened all the way through. Then again. Then once more. With every minute, my anger stopped being emotional and became organized. They were not just leaving me. They were trying to erase me. So I called a lawyer. Patricia Wells looked like she could bite through steel. 55. Perfect suit. Hard eyes. A voice that made weak men shrink. I played the recording twice in her office. When it ended, she sat back slowly. This, she said, is excellent. It was a strange word for something so ugly, but I understood what she meant. Conspiracy. Fraud. Planned defamation. Attempted theft, she said. If we move correctly, we can bury them. I want more than a win in court, I said. She folded her hands. What do you want? I want them to feel everything they planned for me. So I laid out the next part of the plan. She listened without interrupting. No judgment. No lecture. When I finished, she said, it's risky. But if it works, they won't recover. And if it doesn't? Then we use the law and still hurt them. We started by filing restraining orders. Not dramatic fake ones. Careful ones. We used the recording and my evidence to show that Celine and Bianca had threatened me with false abuse accusations. The orders were temporary, but they did one important thing. They created a record. On paper, I was the one asking for protection. Not the other way around. Next, Patricia contacted the bank and my retirement fund administrators. She showed them enough evidence about the forged power of attorney to trigger emergency reviews. Both accounts were frozen. Celine's easy path to my savings vanished overnight. Then came Bianca. Bianca lived on image. Charity lunches. Country club smiles. Fancy dresses and richer friends. Her reputation was her oxygen. So I decided to cut the supply. Leo had found something useful. Bianca was having an affair too. With Julian Hargrove, her ex-husband's business partner. Married. 3 kids. And very loud online about family values. Perfect. We waited for the right moment. Bianca was hosting a charity luncheon at the country club. A room full of wealthy women, polished husbands, and people who loved pretending they were better than everyone else. She stood at the front in cream silk, smiling over a microphone, talking about supporting families in crisis. I almost laughed when Leo texted, "Ready?" I sent anonymous messages to every woman whose number we had. Photos of Bianca and Julian at a downtown hotel. Text screenshots. Times. Dates. Within 3 minutes the room broke. Phones came out. Faces changed. One wife stood so fast her chair tipped backward. Another slapped her husband across the shoulder right in front of 2 tables. Bianca kept trying to smile through it until she saw people staring at her with disgust instead of admiration. Her voice faltered. Then the whole event fell apart. By sunset, her name was poison in every social circle she cared about. But she did not stop. The next night, she tried to break into my apartment. I had expected that. Cornered people reach for stupid moves. I had already installed cameras, motion alerts, and electronic locks. At 2:17 in the morning my phone lit up. Bianca was at my back door with a flashlight and a tool. I watched on the screen as she forced the lock and slipped inside. She moved through my kitchen fast, opening drawers, pulling at folders, searching for something she could use. I waited until she was fully inside. Then I triggered the second alarm. A shrieking siren exploded through the apartment. Bianca jumped, dropped the flashlight and ran for the door. But the locks had already engaged. She yanked and pounded and cursed while my cameras watched everything. By the time the police arrived, she was still trapped inside, screaming. "This is harassment," she shouted as Officer Reed put cuffs on her. "He set me up." "Ma'am," Officer Reed said patiently, "you broke into his apartment on camera. He's dangerous. Ask my sister." He gave her a flat look. "The court papers say you're the one he asked protection from." That shut her up for exactly 2 seconds. Then she started again, louder and less believable. Her image was already cracked. Now it shattered. While Bianca fell apart, Celine's job began collapsing too. Nora Kim's labor board complaint forced Brightwell and Stone to launch a real investigation. They could not keep hiding Damien once outside eyes were watching. 3 complaints. Expense fraud. Rumors of an affair with his direct report. And the fish Porsche video still floating through every office chat in town. The board met in emergency session. Damien was suspended. Celine, as his closest partner and very obvious favorite, came under review too. A few days later Leo called. "They're checking everything," he said. "Every fake dinner. Every padded trip. Every fake consultant invoice. Celine may lose her job and face charges." And Damien? Finished. Even if they let him resign quietly, no big firm will trust him now. I should have felt done. I should have felt satisfied. But deep down, I knew the final blow had not landed yet. People like Celine do not fall softly. They kick. They claw. They blame everyone else. And I could feel her anger building like pressure behind a wall. She proved me right the following Saturday. Patricia was at my apartment helping me review more papers when my building camera alert went off. Movement in the parking garage. I opened the feed. There was Celine. Drunk. Wild-eyed. Holding a crowbar. She was swinging at my car. The windshield cracked in a bright, ugly spiderweb. Patricia stared at the screen. She's lost control. I grabbed my phone and called Chloe. "Your mother is at my building destroying my car." "Where are you?" "With friends." "Come here. Bring Ethan if you can. Fast." By the time my children arrived, Celine had smashed the windshield and 2 side windows. Glass covered the concrete like ice. She was shouting things I could not fully hear at first, but the words got clearer as I stepped into the garage. "You ruined everything," she screamed. Her dress was stained. Her hair was messy. Her makeup had run down her face. All the careful beauty she used like armor was gone. "Mom, stop." Chloe cried, rushing toward her. Celine spun around, crowbar in hand. "This is his fault. You did this to yourself," I said, stepping out of the shadows. Her eyes found me, and whatever was left of reason inside her snapped. She charged. The crowbar sliced through the air near my head and slammed into the wall behind me with a hard metallic crack. Chloe screamed. Ethan had just reached us and froze. For 1 second, Celine and I stared at each other in the dim garage. 22 years. Reduced to this. "You took everything from me," she shouted, raising the crowbar again. I moved just enough to avoid the second swing. It hit the side of the car instead. I had a chance at happiness. I heard my own voice answer, low and tired. I had a chance at happiness too. 22 years ago when I married you. That made her angrier. She swung again, not at me this time but at the remaining glass. Windows exploded. "You think you're so smart," she shouted. "The boring husband. The little accountant who thinks he beat everyone." "I didn't beat you," I said. "You just finally got caught." She turned toward me again, breathing hard. Then one heel caught in a crack on the garage floor. Her body lurched. The crowbar slipped. She crashed down hard. The tool clattered away from her hand. I could have stepped forward. Could have helped her stand. Could have reached for the woman I once loved. But I stayed where I was. "It's over, Celine," I said quietly. "The police are coming. Bianca got arrested. Damien is done. Your job is gone. Everything you planned for me came back to you." She pushed herself up, tears and rage mixing on her face. "I loved him," she said, like that was supposed to matter. "Do you understand? I really loved him." I looked at her for a long moment. No, I said. You loved what he made you feel. You loved his money, his power, his shine. Same way you loved what I gave you until it stopped feeling exciting. Sirens echoed in the garage. Then lights flashed blue across the walls. Officer Reed stepped out of the first car and looked at the scene. Broken glass. Crowbar. My destroyed car. My children crying. Celine in the middle of it all. Mrs. Ellison, he said, you are under arrest for assault with a deadly tool and destruction of property. This is harassment, she screamed as they cuffed her. He set me up. Ma'am, Reed said, we have camera footage of you attacking him with a crowbar. As they led her toward the cruiser, Bianca appeared at the garage entrance in a taxi, clearly called by her sister in panic. She took one look at the police, the glass, and Celine in handcuffs. Then her face twisted. This is your fault, she screamed at me. You destroyed a good woman. I almost laughed at the words. I exposed a cheating wife and her lying sister, I said. That's not the same thing. Officer Reed turned to Bianca. Ma'am, step back. You are still under investigation yourself. I was protecting my sister from an abusive husband. He looked towards Celine, who was literally being placed in a police car after attacking me with a crowbar. The story doesn't really fit tonight, he said dryly. Bianca opened and closed her mouth but had nothing left. The lie they had built for months died right there under fluorescent lights. Ethan stepped beside Chloe and put an arm around her. Both of them looked wrecked. Dad, Ethan asked softly, what happens now? I looked at my children, then at the broken remains of my car, then at the woman being loaded into the back seat of a patrol car. Now, I said, we rebuild? Without the people who tried to break us. And that should have been the end. But Damien Cross had one last stupid move left in him. His silver Porsche rolled into the garage smelling faintly of old fish no cleaning could fully kill. He stepped out wearing a wrinkled suit and the face of a man who had been drinking for days. Celine, he shouted before noticing the police. I've been calling. We need to talk about our plan. Every head turned. Officer Reed looked at me with raised brows. Friend of the family? That, I said, is my wife's boyfriend. Damien finally saw the patrol cars, the cuffs, the broken glass. His face emptied. I didn't mean. Officer Reed stepped closer. You mentioned a plan involving Mrs. Ellison. Want to explain? I want a lawyer, Damien snapped. Good idea. But he was not done making mistakes. When Reed moved toward him, Damien shoved past and came straight at me, eyes wild. You did this, he shouted. You ruined everything. He swung a punch. He missed by a mile. I did not hit back. I did not need to. He stumbled past me, off balance from rage and drink and panic. I gave him one small shove as he fell. Not enough to start a fight. Just enough to help gravity do its job. He slammed chest first across the hood of his precious Porsche. A deep dent groaned into the metal. That, I said loudly, is for the Porsche. By then neighbors had started gathering. Mrs. Kim from 4B was filming everything on her phone. The building manager stood there writing things down with the serious face people use when they know a story will be told for years. The whole neighborhood watched as police cuffed Damien beside the car he loved more than any person. He twisted around to glare at me. This isn't over. Yes, I said. It is. You just haven't caught up to that yet. The garage grew quiet after they drove away. Only police radios, distant footsteps, and the soft sound of glass being swept. Chloe leaned into me, still crying a little. Dad, she whispered, I'm sorry we didn't see it sooner. I held her shoulders. You believed in family, I said. That is never something to be sorry for. Ethan kicked a piece of broken glass lightly. What's going to happen to Mom? I took a slow breath. The courts will decide some of it. Time will decide the rest. But whatever comes next, we face it together. For the first time in months, I meant those words and believed them. The storm had finally broken. Celine and Damien were finished. Jobs gone. Names ruined. Criminal trouble waiting. Bianca's fake shine had burned off too. No more country club smiles. No more trusted sister act. Everyone knew who she was now. And me? I was standing in a parking garage full of broken glass and siren light, and somehow I felt lighter than I had in years. Free is a strange feeling when it comes out of pain. It does not feel happy right away. It feels quiet. Like a room after shouting stops. Like the first deep breath after being underwater too long. I looked at my destroyed car and let out one tired laugh. Well, I said, I guess I need a new windshield. Chloe laughed through tears. Then Ethan smiled too. It was a small moment. But it mattered. Because for months every smile in our family had felt fake or forced or frightened. This one was real. And as I stood there with my children beside me, in the wreckage of the life I thought would last forever, I finally understood something. They had called me boring, predictable, comfortable, the man who would never fight. They thought being quiet meant being weak. They thought patience meant fear. They thought the accountant would sit there and let them write the ending. They were wrong. Because sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one who watches, learns, waits, and says nothing until the exact right moment. Sometimes the man everyone overlooks is the one who sees everything. And sometimes the husband they stopped respecting is the only one smart enough to survive the fire they started. I was still Quinn Ellison. Still average height. Still thinning hair. Still the numbers guy. But now I knew something I should have known all along. A calm man can still be strong. A gentle man can still fight. And a boring, predictable accountant can become the worst nightmare of anyone foolish enough to mistake kindness for weakness. That night, when I finally closed my apartment door behind me, the silence did not feel empty anymore. It felt earned. And for the first time in a very long while, I could breathe.